Second. All right, Buff Nation. What is going on? It's a new season. I'm in a new place. I'm now a Texan yet again. So bear with me. We'll have a nice little setup here. But Russ and I, you might have seen on our YouTube channels, we got the whole season scheduled out for Wednesday nights at 7 Mountain, the Buff Blitz. We're going to be previewing upcoming matches, recapping the previous week, talking about all the insane drama that we'll probably meet and see throughout the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Russ, I just can't appreciate you enough for helping put this together. Really excited to be chatting with you throughout the season. And crazy that we text each other like at the same time with this idea. That's how I knew it was destiny.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to talk buffs every week and to kind of, get this going a little bit different than my normal stuff. And God, I'm just so excited for this season. So I mean, I don't care what happens, talking about this week in, week out, it's gonna be a lot of fun this season, no matter what happens.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm a little anxious. I was texting Rob about this morning, man. You can tell I'm excited for the season, anxious for the season, because, man, I had a dream that we lost 44-0 to the freaking North Dakota State Bison. That ain't going to happen, man. That ain't going to happen.
No.
I experienced it in my dreams. We can't experience it in reality. But let me know in the comments, y'all. Have you had a dream about the Colorado Buffaloes? If you haven't, I'm going to question your fandom. I'm sorry. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yep. No, we've all had that. I've had regular dreams about being a punter in college football. That has happened several times. Good dreams. Would have been fun, but yeah. No, those are some fun ones.
Man, well, yeah, guys. Hopefully you got plans already for how you're going to watch the game tomorrow. Again, I believe... Is it at 6 Mountain Time?
6:30 Mountain Time.
6:30 Mountain Time. Okay.
Now, when they say 6:30 for a time, I always figure 6:45, 6:50 is my guess, especially because it's national TV. So we'll see. But yeah, roughly 6:30. So we're less than 24 hours away from that first game.
Man, I love it. I can't wait for it. Yeah, y'all smash that like to give the Buffs some good juju. We need to go out there and handle business. Before we dive into the agenda, I just had to point out something that I'm sure you saw on Twitter, Russ, was that Dalvin the Truth. I guess he's got some sort of Colorado fan that has doubled down now, putting 14 grand on the Buffs to win by 21.
Hey, I honestly, he may be on to something, man. I think he has a decent chance. We'll get into more about that, why I think he has a decent chance, but yeah, that's absolutely insane. I'm not doing that. I don't have that kind of money to throw up there and potentially lose.
I'll tell you what, I only got one bet this year. I had to put it on my app before I moved because Texas, no DraftKings. What's wrong with you guys? But I got an interesting parlay. I got the Buffs with a 2-game improvement, of course, over the 5.5 wins, just taking them over. And then I thought, you know what? The odds are too nice. I'm going to have to do it. What happens? What are the odds that the Broncos can also have a 2-game improvement? So hitting the over on the 9.5 wins alternate line. That's it's an over plus 2,000 thing. So I'm gonna something like that. So I'm gonna make a lot of money if it hits. All I'm asking is for my two teams to have a 2-game improvement each. How crazy is that? Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's a good parlay. Whenever you can potentially make a ton of money with a potential realistic one, yeah, that's a smart play every time. I looked at making some bets this past weekend, and in all honesty, the lines are not where they need to be for me to make enough money on a smaller bet like they were last year. Like the TCU game, I was golden. We knew they were going to win.
Yes,
the line was massive. You put down a couple bucks, you're winning $100. It was super easy to just cash in on money. We don't have that this year yet. But yeah, I mean, really the only one you kind of have that is maybe the over 5.5 wins. Or if you really think that they're better, make your own line and say, hey, they're going to win 8 games, 9 games, that you might be
Win the
able to win a
conference.
little bit.
There are great payoff odds to win the
The
conference.
Heisman's a good one.
Yes.
You put down Travis and Shador, you have a chance to win pretty good money on those two.
No doubt. And yeah, it's gonna, just like Let's Talk Nuggets is saying, go subscribe to him, by the way. The road to the Big 12 championship starts now, or at least a bowl game. But regardless of what we're expecting for the season, we'll get into it, man. We're undefeated till we ain't. The goal obviously needs to be to win every single game. The goal needs to be to win a conference championship. Now, how we define success could be a little bit different, but that needs to be the goal. And I like that Coach Prime, and it seems like the whole coaching staff is preaching that. But you want to just dive into this whole thing, Russ? Getting into the season, getting into the matchup we got tomorrow?
Yeah, so real quick, everybody, kind of the format that we're going to be going by each week. We're going to kind of start with either looking back on the previous week, or what we're going to kind of do now is preview the entire season before getting into the meat and potatoes of tomorrow's game. I've watched a lot of NDSU games. I'm kind of in the NDSU enemy territory, being in Montana. I've seen them play Montana State. Watch those games. They're on TV all the time. I'm close to North Dakota, South Dakota. So we have a lot to preview with that. But for first, let's go ahead and start with our season preview. We're going to look at some different awards and things that we feel like, so we can look back on this at the end of the season and say, hey, were we right? Were we wrong? What was surprising? What was not surprising? What happened with the season? So first thing that we're going to look at, the breakout player of the year. So who we think is going to maybe surprise people, that's not one that's being talked about easily, that at the end of the season we might be, wow, they were a difference maker. Somebody last year might have been like Omarion Miller. His couple of chances he had was kind of a breakout season when everyone was looking forward to what he was going to do. Xavier Weaver, maybe a little bit. Defensively, you could say a couple different players. Obviously, Travis Hunter is not going to be that breakout. Shador is not going to be that breakout player. So what does that look like? Dave, who do you have as your breakout player of the year?
All right. Well, this is an exciting one. I'm interested to hear what you guys think in the comments. If you put another name in there, but going to go with, I think, one of our most improved aspects of the team. Again, one of the worst that we saw last year, but this was somebody that I've talked about as one of the most improved buffs throughout last year. And now he's given a compliment of the rest of the position group to where he's not going to be able to just be keyed on all the time by the offensive line, opposing offensive coordinators. So I'm going with a defensive lineman, somebody who is now going into his second year here with the Buffs, somebody that I'm expecting a lot from, and I think could really shine in the interior. It's not Chidozie Nwankwo, as much as I love him, or Ryan Buell. It is, by the way, of Tennessee, Amari McNeil. I think we're going to see another jump from him this year. And again, one of the most improved players, in my opinion, throughout last season. If he makes another jump like that this year, not only are we going to see the Buffs disrupt from the outside, which I'm expecting a lot of, but I think that he could establish himself as our best interior player. What you think about that one?
Okay, no, I think that's a good one. I'll be interested to see. I'm going to be very interested to see how we rotate our players and how the defensive line works out. If we're constantly moving players in and out, if we're, if there's going to be players that are just playing maybe a series and then they swap out a series, that's going to be an interesting one. For my breakout player, I am also going with a returning player.
Let's go.
And I am going with an OG. I am going with Trevor Woods, because I think his move to linebacker is going to pay off. I think that Trevor Woods is going to be an NFL linebacker. From what I've heard, the guy, he's going to eventually be in the NFL. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. I have enjoyed, I think his ball skills with his ability to read the play, even back at the safety. I mean, look at last year. He had 2 interceptions from back there, had some great game-changing plays. When he switched to linebacker, he did okay, but switching mid-year is insane to do.
Yeah.
And now he's had a whole offseason, not to mention, they've even mentioned that he has had conversations with the likes of Ray Lewis about the position and what he needs to do. Like, everything is setting up for Trevor Woods to have that impactful season at linebacker. I think he's going to surprise people. But that is who my breakout player, surprise player of the year is. Chad, if you guys have your own, make sure you're throwing them in there. I see a few. We got the Charlie one. That's an easy one, I think, to potentially say that if he can do what we think he can do, and he is going to get the rock a lot more this year. I think that's going to happen. Yeah. So that's
Hank Solinskis we got in the chat. He's another popular one. I could see him being one of the more recognized players if we got a good run game this year. But I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what on your prediction, Russ, what I will say is, hey, if we got a juiced up 225-pound Trevor Woods that's had a whole offseason of actually being coached in the linebacker room, I got raised expectations for this. I've warmed up to the idea, and I love that. I love that. If we get a season like that where Trevor Woods is breaking out as one of our best defensive players on the unit this year, then man, we could be in for a very exciting season, and I can't wait. We're gonna see tomorrow how this whole thing looks.
That's no depth chart. We still don't have a depth chart. NDSU put out a depth chart. They have some interesting things being talked about there that we'll talk about here in a little bit, but we do not have a depth chart, so we have no idea what this is going to look like.
I love
which
it.
is just insane.
Let's keep it that way. Let's make it hard to game plan against these guys. We got Jimmy Horn, which I think is a sneaky one as well. Rawhide has talked about him a lot, and I think, again, we only get a small glimpse of practice with the footage and everything like that, but it still seems to me that Jimmy Horn's getting a lot of work with the ones, so I think we should be expecting him to have still a substantial role in this offense, despite all the transfers into the room.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's move on to season offensive MVP. Now, one thing of note to everybody in the chat, because these ones are obvious. I mean, we could make this really easy, but we are going offensive and defensive MVP, but we cannot take Shedeur or Travis for either spot. Okay, guys? So if you're thinking we're crazy when we don't take Travis or Shedeur, there's a reason. It's super easy to say that Shedeur Sanders should be our offensive MVP. Travis should probably be our defensive MVP. If that happens, we're going to a bowl game, probably the Big 12 championship, if I'm being honest.
They're top 5 NFL draft picks. I love our other players, but it's clear we got those two guys and then kind of everybody else. That's how I feel about it.
Right now at this moment, that's how it is. Like, we know that those two guys are above and beyond everybody else. I mean, there's PFF just rated Travis as the best player in all of college football.
Wow.
And Shedeur as one of the top quarterbacks. And so, like, if that's the case with your team, and again, I tweeted this out, Dave, you saw it, you retweeted it, but we need to just enjoy the process this season and enjoy watching the Travis Hunter show that we're about to see. He's bigger, he's faster, he is the most athletic freak on planet Earth. He literally has one of the greatest track coaches in the world saying he has never seen anything like Travis Hunter. We are about to see probably on the same level as like a Reggie Bush, Christian McCaffrey type season out of Travis Hunter. So everybody get your popcorn, enjoy every second of it, because it's probably going to be one of the greatest seasons for a single player in CU history.
Heisman
and we are about to watch it
baby.
unfold.
Heisman finalist, at least one of them. But I think Travis got the best odds right now just because of how unique he is.
If he does it both ways, if he's getting interceptions and touchdowns and tons of yards, they cannot not invite him to New York. Like, that is the only way a non-quarterback is winning this award at this point. So offensive MVP, Dave, who do you got for this season?
I'm going to stay in the trenches. Because that's the theme for this year. Kicking booty from inside, from the trenches, and somebody that we don't talk about nearly enough. Somebody who's coming in here and I think has established themselves as the anchor of this offensive line. Why don't we talk about him? Maybe because he's not the youngest on the group, or he's not at a position where it's kind of a question mark. No, he's that plug and play offensive lineman that I don't think anybody, regardless of your opinion on the offensive line, anybody is worried about. And that is Justin Mayers, man. I feel like he is going to be the anchor of this offensive line. He's going to be a security blanket, somebody that Jordan Seaton can rely on, somebody that Hank Salinskis going into his first full year as a starter, he's going to be able to lean on. Again, it's hard to play center. It's hard to play left tackle when you got somebody who is really just an oversized fullback playing that left guard position. I love Justin Mayers at the guard. I think that, again, he's not going to put up the stats, the rushing yards, the touchdowns, the receiving yards, anything like that. But one thing I'm going to be paying attention to is how are we opening up these holes inside? And I think it all starts with Justin Mayers. What say you?
Okay. No, that's a surprising one. I was thinking a couple others on the line maybe, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling we may see some more season awards for some of the other linemen as well here in a little bit. Okay, for mine, I'm going kind of easy with this one. It's a little bit obvious outside of your Travis and Shador. I'm going to go with our 1,000-yard receiver, LeJonte Wester.
Yes.
I think he's going to have the most impactful season of any of the receivers. While Travis will have his moments, Will Shepherd will have his big moments. I think LeJonte is going to be fed the rock a ton. They're going to let him make plays. I also think he's going to be a big part of the screen game when they do that, and just trying to get the ball into his hands besides Travis. You know, if teams decide to double Travis or whatever they do, or double Will if he starts hitting the ball deep, I think LeJonte is going to have a massive year. I think some people are overlooking him. PFF, I watched their preview of the season, and they have him as their most upside player on the team. They think he's the most underrated. So LeJonte Wester, he is my offensive MVP for Colorado. What are your thoughts on that choice there, Dave?
And I love it. I love it. Hey, you can't teach speed. You can't teach that sort of agility. And something that we talked about last year that I think we saw in spurts, but it really affected us once Travis missed those few games, was that we got enough athletes on the outside to where you're not going to be able to double team them. And with our offensive line providing Shador more time to throw, I think we should see us take advantage of just the athletic advantage that we got on the outside throughout the season. LeJonte Wester, it would not shock me if he did lead our team in receiving, no doubt. But let's get to a few of the chat. We got Kev5 saying offense is Charlie. He's calling Charlie the CMC, having the CMC type season. Y'all put some money down on Charlie. I don't know if I can go that far, but I love it.
I don't know. I think Charlie's going to do better than a lot of people. I know a lot of Charlie haters out there. I do. But if you watch him, he runs so hard with the ball. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Peyton Hillis.
Dude, I love Peyton Hillis, man.
Peyton Hillis back in the day on Arkansas. He was overlooked on that team because it was so running back heavy. He just ran the ball hard, knew where to go, came to the Broncos, did pretty well. They kind of kicked him to the curb, and then he goes to Cleveland, has one of the craziest years ever. But I think he could have that type of season. I think there is going to be a share of the ball. I don't think anybody's going to be the bell cow. Even if Charlie is one, I don't think he's going to be treated as like a bell cow one running back.
Now, if it's true that Neely is saying Charlie RB1, I just got to say, I feel like, and we know kind of what Neely's role is. He's kind of to be the unofficial mouthpiece of the team. Is this a little bit of gaming? You know, kind of is this a little bit of giving North Dakota State some false information? We'll have to see, but I've been about this on my channel the last month, man. When you bring in down Hayden, Isaiah Augustive, man, I want to see them get the most of the work. That's just how I feel. But seems like Charlie's going to get the first crack at it. So
I also think
him.
Hayden has been seeing more 1 reps in the last week or so, if you've been watching the video and stuff. So I think it's moving towards that where they're both kind of the RB1, RB1B, RB1A. My guess is that Charlie is probably the better blocker, and thus why they're looking at him potentially playing a little bit more and being that RB1.
Yes. Yes. But hey, Cat 5, if he has that season, you're the guy. You're the guy that gets the credit.
We'll call you out. We'll call you out for sure. Rawhide wanted to say Omarion Miller. Everyone's forgot about him. I've not forgot about Omarion. Okay. I absolutely think if he sees the field enough, he is going to make a massive difference on this team. I just hope that he's happy enough and they get him the ball enough that he doesn't leave this team, because he is set to be wide receiver 1 next year. And I think he's going to make a massive jump come next year, plus a massive jump this year. So I'm still looking out for him, but as of now, he's been running with the 2s all off season. So I'm almost positive he won't be one of the main starters, but I think he'll be going in there.
Yeah, it better happen. We better feed him the ball after what we saw. Let's get to a couple more of these comments here.
Yeah.
And then we can move on to the next item on our agenda, Russ. But yeah, Mark is saying running back by committee.
100%.
I think we agree. And then even though this doesn't have to do with the offensive MVP, I do think that for Shedeur, I think this is something that I feel the same about BP is that, yeah, we need to get the ball out quickly. We need to get the ball out quickly. When I had that dream, that terrible nightmare that the Buffs lost to North Dakota State, there are highlights. Shedeur not getting rid of the ball. This is what we need. We need him to take a step in that direction. I think he will. My expectation is that we're going to see this offense just play a lot more cohesively. And because of that, I think we're going to see this offense be on time a little bit more.
I have a tidbit when we get to the preview that I think we're not going to have to worry about that this game. Okay. We're not going to have to worry about 2 holding the ball.
If we do, oh man, the post game is going to be awesome, but we should.
No, and I'll tell you guys why later. You probably already know. If you watch DNVR today, RK brought the stats. It's quite jarring what's going to happen, and you don't have to worry about 2. That's all I'm going to say. What else we got? Michael Welch. That was another one that you could be previewing some other of these awards that we're giving out here in a little bit. A couple of you guys in the chat are kind of stealing my thunder later on. But yeah. So we want to move on to defensive MVP.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and pull up that banner.
Do defensive MVP. David, who do you got as our defensive MVP outside of Travis?
My guy's a guy I supported since day one, since he transferred in here. We haven't gotten guys like this in the transfer portal. Might have some of us taken this for granted initially because of, maybe some things that he's got to work on, but you cannot deny the stats. You cannot deny how he's looked. I think he's going to be our best edge rusher this year. I'm sticking with the lines. That is the theme of today's show, Russ, on my end at least. Sticking with the lines. I think that's one of the things we're going to notice so much.
I like it.
About this team compared to last year. BJ Green, man. BJ,
it's an easy one.
Green. I love BJ Green. Like, this guy, he's going to lead the room. You can see he's getting along with everybody. He's established himself as a leader. Yes, you can't teach that athleticism. He's solid against the run. He's solid against the pass. Still, am I bitter? Do I have a bone to pick with everybody after a few plays of him on just a god-awful defense? Not running, not sprinting back to the ball in some of the way. Man, come on, guys. Don't let a few plays distract you from the fact that this guy was an all-conference caliber player on a team just as poor as we were in conference last year. Come on now. Let's give some credit to the fact that a program like Washington was targeting BJ Green on their team. wasn't until that whole coaching staff really changed to where we had the opportunity to have a second chance at getting him. I'm very thankful BJ Green's on this roster. I think he's a fantastic upgrade to this room, along with the other transfers that we brought in from the edge positions. But I'm going to say that he's our defensive MVP. Maybe, I'm not saying that he has 15 sacks on the season or anything like that, but I do think that the pressure that he causes and his ability, to kind of help set that edge with the running game. Again, we saw against USC how we couldn't set an edge, and that was really that really tore us up. I think that you're just going to notice his play really allowing others to shine. And it might not necessarily always come up on the stat sheet, but he's a disruptor. He's a disruptor, and I want to give him recognition because there are a lot of programs going after him, and we are very lucky to have him here in Boulder.
That is a great one. I think going back to the whole loafing thing and all that, people seem to forget something about BJ Green. The guy was a walk-on. He was a walk-on that earned his way to a scholarship. I get there's clips of him last year. I agree. I think being on that ASU team just didn't bring that juice out of him. I think the coaching staff has really emphasized that to him. We've seen it a couple times, him getting called out in practice. But since that, you just see him manhandle people in one-on-ones, in different drills. So I think BJ Green is about to have a massive season on the edge for Colorado, 100%.
Yes. Well put, Russ. You don't go from walk-on to scholarship to all conference for being some lazy, disgruntled, egotistical dude. No, he couldn't be but the opposite.
Exactly. Okay, for my defensive player of the year, somebody took it already in the chat. Believe it was Marcus. He had me pegged because my defensive MVP of the year is who I consider to be one of the least talked about, but on paper and what he's able to do and accomplish, he is one of the most accomplished people on our defense, and that is Preston Hodge. I am going with Preston Hodge in the secondary. I think he's going to eat this year because I think teams will not want to target Travis. Hodge will be on the opposite side of Travis if Travis isn't in the slot. And I think Hodge is going to get a lot of opportunities. And I think that because of that and because of his just abilities, we've seen the Pro Football Focus grades for him. We've seen the tape on him, what he was able to do at the lower level. I think he brings that to the Power 5 level. And I think he makes a huge impact on our secondary this season. So Preston Hodge is my defensive player of the year. Outside of course, Travis. And there's so many players that could get it. That, like I said, you're right. The defensive line, anybody. Deion Hayes, Sam Okunlola, BJ Green, Amari McNeil, Chidozie, Torian Carter. I could go on. We have got a stacked big defensive line that is ready to eat. And trust me, tomorrow they are going to eat everybody, okay? They have been itching at the gun to get some real work. You see what happens in those competitions with the offense? Those are their teammates, okay? They are wanting to see a different jersey across from them, and that jersey color is going to be that green, white, and yellow tomorrow, and they are going to eat and feast on that defensive line tomorrow in tomorrow's game.
I love the Preston Hodge edition, man. I was and prediction for defensive MVP, man, because he was somebody I was thinking of going with. And we could kind of see a symbiotic relationship between these two, right? BJ Green, Preston Hodge, getting the pressures, inaccurate throws, him taking advantage of that. But I do love the fact that he's coming in here as a veteran presence in this secondary, highly regarded. He could have gone to a lot of really, really good programs, a lot of programs that finished better than we did last year. And it speaks to the fact his connection here with the staff, the program, the fact that he would come to Colorado, again, I think is something that we can't lose sight of.
Perfect. Let's move on. We're going to do Well, let's see. Any comments of other people who wanted defensive? I didn't see
Oh,
any.
yeah, I love this one from
Oh,
Kev.
there you
Thank
go.
you. Thank you. We might disagree
We
on
forget about
Charlie a
him.
little bit, but we can agree on Shiloh. This guy gets way too much criticism. He is a staple back there for us as safety. I love that one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I think he's gonna have a good one. Sam could have most sacks. Okay, we heard it here. Lil Bucket, Sam, most sacks on the defense.
I could see it. He was very efficient with his part-time snaps last year at Pitt. I could totally see it this year.
100%.
Gerald D saying, I predict BJ Green's going to get at least 2 sacks tomorrow.
Yes, I've got some comments. Again, when we get to this preview, guys, I've got some notes. I've been watching some things. I think we're going to see some very interesting plays. This game could get out of hand real quick, or it could be close. It's all up to what Colorado wants to do, for sure.
No doubt.
Mastermind's having some issues in the chat.
Hopium. This is the Hopium podcast. If you're not juiced up on Hopium, man, this is right before week 1. Come on, man. It's time to get hyped. We got nothing going wrong. There's nothing to be concerned about. We play tomorrow. We're all gonna see
Mastermind.
What this team really is all about. I love it.
That's a total troll comment when you say that Shiloh hits like a butterfly soft. Out of everyone, like that's the one thing Shiloh does well.
I miss the trolls. I miss the trolls. Yeah,
where are the trolls?
Here.
Where's
family,
Peter?
Yeah, the whole family's showing back up. Yeah, absolutely. You'll love to see it, man.
Awesome.
Shall we move on to our next item?
Let's go freshman of the year. I'm going to go ahead and start it off. My freshman of the year, I'm going to go pretty easy on this one. I'm going to go Micah Welsh. I think that he's going to have a chance to run the ball. I think he runs the ball hard. He's kind of that bowling ball runner that we have as far as our running backs go. I think he's going to surprise some people, get some time, get some touchdowns. So for me, Micah Welsh is going to be my freshman of the year. Although there's one other one that I could easily say because it's going to probably guarantee we're going to a Big 12 championship, which I assume you're going to take. But go ahead, Dave. Who do you have as freshman of the year?
Man, thank you for the assist, the lob. It's time for me to just put it down. First off, I want to give an honorable mention out to somebody else in the trenches, Brandon Davis Swain. He very well could have a nice limited role for us this year, but the reason I didn't pick him is just I want to give credit, I think, to a lot of the guys that we've brought in on the defensive line from the transfer portal. I think they're ready to plug and play, baby. And with that being said, the offensive line's a different story. Is Jordan Seaton going to have his ups and downs, guys? Yes, but let's not lose. Let's not go crazy. Let's not, let's not get all toxic about him on social media, anything like that. Let's just remain patient. He's going to have his ups and downs, but I think he will be substantially better than what we got out of the left tackle play last year. Again, the standard's kind of low. I mean, just know your assignments. Like, I just want to see him know his assignments, not have very many like pre-snap penalties or anything like that. I just want to see him, and what I expect him is just to show that he belongs on the field as a true freshman, and then to have some of those moments. Maybe it's not every play, but have some of those moments where you say, wow, he really is showing shades of greatness early on. Might be similar to Caden Proctor, like we've talked about so much throughout the offseason, might be a little up and down that first third of the season, but then finds himself as we get into the most important games in conference play. That's really what I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan on that last 4-game stretch. Brutal to end the season. Can we see him play his best football then? That's what I'm going to be looking for and expecting, and why I have him as my freshman of the year.
Yeah, we all need to be patient. Okay, we need to be patient with Seaton. It's going to have its ups and downs, but we all got to remember what we had last year in Tank at our left tackle position. We had our ups and downs there. At worst, we get something kind of similar to that position out of Seton with some really good plays, some bad plays. What I want to see from Seton is improvement. Okay. It's the whole 1% improvement every play, every game. You know, if he gets beat, I want to see and make sure that the same thing doesn't happen twice so that he learns from each scenario, figures it out, and moves on. I also hope that maybe Shermer helps him out a little bit, maybe early on, maybe not tomorrow, but probably at Nebraska. I would like to see them help him out a little bit more. I think he's going to do fine tomorrow, but Nebraska is going to be a lot tougher, especially on the road and in that environment. But I agree 100%. Seton, if he's freshman of the year and has the unbelievable season we think he can have, we are looking good at the end of the season for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. And a few mentions in the chat. Cam Michael.
Yes.
I love that. Or Draylon Miller. Both of those guys seem to be impressing. Talked about. We'll see. I would love it if they're able to work themselves into the rotation as a true freshman. Man, it's going to be a nice year.
I think it could be similar to what we saw last year, where there was always like one receiver that kind of stood out above the starters each game. Yeah. So similar to an Amarian Miller game, you know, just to surprise teams who haven't watched tape on Draylon or Cam. I think those would be, you know, kind of awesome ones to see at that.
Absolutely love it. Yes. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
I think we had award. One more, right?
Yep. Last award before we get into the game stuff, and we can move on to that. Transfer of the year. Which of our many transfers, of course, we always get the news talking about that and how that's not going to work. But who out of the transfers is going to be our transfer of the year? Dave, I'm going to let you go first and pick your transfer of the year.
Well, you can probably guess the position group or area that I'm focusing on. Again, guys, I'm just talking about all guys in the trenches. That's going to be the biggest difference this year with this team compared to last year's. And gave some credit to BJ Green earlier on. Now I'm going to be picking another edge player, veteran guy, has the potential, if he shows out again this year, to be a drafted player, a top 250 player, from college football going in the NFL this year, sticking it to bitter, hypocritical Pat Narduzzi. That's right, Deion Hayes. I feel so much better about the complement of edge rushers that we have on this team. Somebody, again, who's got the ability to rush the passer, but where I really think his strength lies is in the run support. I think we're going to notice that he's not going to be somebody that offenses are going to be able to target. And I just feel so much better about the combination of these two leading what I think is going to be a very deep edge group for us, where a lot of people will shine. Taj McCoy, we've talked about Sam Okunloa as well. But I think these two guys are going to be the two edge rushers kind of setting the tone for the defense. Deion Hayes.
Dave, we didn't talk before this, but I have the same transfer of the year. I went with Deion Hayes as well. I agree 100%. I think he's going to eat at the other edge position. I think he complements BJ Green real well. They're going to be in there. The players have mentioned a Ferrari package, which I'm excited to see in action. All edge players at once going after the quarterback, on those pass plays. Yeah. On those must-have pass plays. I mean, imagine stunting with those four. Imagine Sam, BJ, Deion Hayes, and then like an Amari McNeil, and having them do stunts with their speed on a third down, adding in maybe a blitzing corner, a blitzing linebacker. Quarterbacks are not going to know what hit them. And I have a feeling we're going to feast on that particular thing next week with Nebraska. Rookie quarterback. What do you do with a freshman quarterback? You blitz when you need to blitz, and you put stuff in his face. And I have a feeling we're going to see that a lot next week. Tomorrow, I don't think we're going to see the Ferrari package as much. There will be some chance to do it, but I'm excited to see what they do for sure.
Oh man,
We got
I
a
love it.
couple.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to see these guys in action tomorrow. But yes, Dan Hayes, great minds think alike. Russ, I was also thinking about Preston Hodge, but we gave him recognition earlier. You had him on the list for defensive MVP, so
Yeah.
I love to see that. Guys, let us know in the comments. Do you got some other transfer of the year? Common Sense Buffs has Will Shepherd.
That's a yes.
Another guy that I think should be talked about more. He very well could be that Zay Weaver for us this year.
100%. Yep, that's a good one. Okay, let's move on out of the preview of the season. We're going to now move into the preview of the game. We're going to talk about NDSU, North Dakota State. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information. There's a lot of stuff out there you can watch. Obviously, great source if you guys really want to do some deep dives. Is always Buffed Prime. He's always doing deep dive videos. I watched some of his stuff on NDSU. I have watched some of the NDSU games from last year because they did return a ton of their players, most of their players from last year. Obviously, the big difference is coaching. Their coach, Tim Pulasic, he did say in one of his first team meetings was they were going to kind of keep the same system going. They were going to play NDSU ball. They weren't going to be making these changes.
Yeah.
So I expect them to play similar to they did last year, similar to how they've played for the last 10, 15 years as an FCS powerhouse. So I think we're going to see that tomorrow. A couple things to note, guys, and what you should be looking for. And honestly, why you guys should be excited and feeling good about this. It's honestly why that guy probably put down 14 grand on this game for 20-point victory. NDSU is going to be without one of their best defensive players in Cole Wisniewski. He is a safety for them. He has his ups and downs last year because he was a brand new safety. He did the opposite of Trevor Woods, went from linebacker to safety, had some ups and downs. Buffed Prime did some video on him showing him really being exposed. But the fact was he still had 8 interceptions. Was still a massive, massive anchor on the back end for them. And so, yeah, not having that is not going to help them either way. They're also missing, and this is going to be weird, they're missing their fullback long snapper, who is out with a career-ending injury. He is an All-American fullback long snapper for NDSU. They are having to go with a new long snapper, so special teams. And then as a team who runs the ball like NDSU does, they use a fullback quite frequently. So that is another big position that is having trouble. The last big roster kind of thing that you guys are going to need to look out for is, well, and at least the depth chart didn't show this, but the local news was covering this and saying it. It looked like they're going to do 3 redshirt freshmen, first-time starters on the interior of their offensive line. Okay, so if we want to talk about BJ Green and Deion Hayes having a good day, Chidozie Nwankwo could have a massive day. Same with Torian Carter. That's not going to be good. And then the last bit of note for kind of injuries starting wise, there's expected starting running back is also technically going to be playing. He's a game time decision. He just started practicing yesterday. He has a massive knee brace on. So I have no idea how the dude is going to cut. I'm wondering if they're just trying to do that and maybe get us thinking that he's going to play. It's not sounding good. So I think that they are going to go with the other running back for the majority. He is technically listed as the 3rd string on the depth chart, which makes sense. I don't think he's going to play a lot, but their other running back is still very good. So that isn't a full negative for them. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the style that NDSU plays. So I watched the playoff game, NDSU versus Montana State. And this is where things get crazy. It was a track meet. It was high scoring back and forth. But guess how both teams were scoring? They were scoring off of 40-plus yard runs. It was back and forth, long run after long run for both teams. They weren't heaving up passes. It wasn't like an air raid attack. In fact, NDSU rarely passes the ball more than 20 times in a game. In fact, 4 times last year, they threw the ball 8 times or less. Okay.
Wow.
So they are not a throw first. If we want to get them, if we beat them, it's as easy as this. Stop the run, force the pass, let the quarterback beat you with his arm, because he's not going to beat us with his arm with this secondary. He is going to be baited by Travis Hunter, by Preston Hodge into picks. I have a feeling that our safeties are going to feast. Cameron Silman Craig, I have a feeling he gets a pick tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, in all honesty. So the other thing that we've got to be careful of, that's the last note before we move on to kind of our preview of what we think is going to happen. They like to run a lot of reverses. They like to run some different trick plays. They have, in the Montana State game, they did run a direct snap punt return that got him a first down. So I have noticed, and you might have noticed this too, Dave, but in the last week or so, what has really been focused on at practice, in the press conferences, anytime a coach has spoken, discipline. And there's a reason for that, because if you are disciplined against NDSU, we will blow them out. Okay. They run a lot of options, a lot of RPO plays where they're not going to pass it, but they're going to choose whether the quarterback or running back is going to run it. They have two quarterbacks. Cam Miller, that's going to be their starting quarterback. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. Their other quarterback, I like to call it the Tim Tebow special. He is that bruiser of a quarterback that when he comes in, 9 times out of 10, he's running the ball. They might throw in a pass here and there to like get the team off guard, similar to those Tebow goal line packages that the Jets and Patriots ran, where it was like, it was a draw almost every time. And then the one, jump pass to the goal line, they would do sometimes with Tebow. That's going to be a similar type aspect when you see the backup quarterback come in. So if Cam Miller comes out, expect most likely a quarterback running play. So that is my little preview on what to expect. The other thing too is, and I don't get this, ESPN is so dumb, by the way. Have you been watching any of the coverage of previews for this game, national media wise, Dave?
Nah, man. The move has me totally out of touch this week.
If you go watch any of the previews, everybody in the chat, tell me if you've seen this or go and watch this later on tonight. Watch the previews. You can tell who hasn't actually paid attention and actually looked into this game and are just talking out of their ass, because it is so easy to tell. Because one, you have some NDSU people saying, oh man, they were the worst defense in college football last year. We are going to feast on that defense. This is not the same defense. You cannot watch last year's team and say that is the defense you're going to see tomorrow. That is ignorant. Same thing with the comment that I've heard that has said NDSU has an unbelievable wide receiver core and they're going to do just fine. Guess what? Besides the wide receiver core, they lost their number one wide receiver who went to Iowa State, who went Power 5, who left the program. And I watched him. That kid dominated the playoffs for NDSU last year. Okay. They have a receiver that's still pretty good. Oh shoot, I can't even remember his name now. I even looked it up. I wanted to say it. They have one receiver, really good, number 3 on their team. He is similar to like a LeJontay Wester, that kind of small, quick, agile receiver. And then their other starting receiver is Trey Lance's little brother, who is starting for the first time in his NDSU career. 6'3" wide receiver. It is his first time really doing this. So for this analyst on the national scale to say that NDSU has this unbelievable wide receiver core, they have one receiver that is, has experience. The rest are new, and it's going to be a completely different turnover. So again, go watch the previews. You can tell who hasn't watched or paid attention to anything. They will say the dumb things about CU. They will say dumb things about NDSU, and they will just be literally the perception of each team is what they use, not the actual details that we look at on a daily basis, that other people look at on a daily basis. I will give the biggest shout out before we move into our predictions. Tim Pulasic, the head coach of North Dakota State, his press conference where he talked about Shedeur Sanders, I have never seen a more articulated and perfect spot-on answer for what he expects out of Shedeur Sanders. The guy knows ball. The guy has coached quarterbacks, and he knows what Shedeur brings. He said it. Shedeur brings the prototypical quarterback. He plays the role exactly how it's supposed to be played. He is not a run first quarterback. He is I take what the defense gives me, and he plays that. He said all of it so succinctly. I was like, this dude, I'm going to be rooting for NDSU the rest of the season just because of how smart this guy is. When the NDSU media guys, by the way, let me know in the chat. I want somebody to say, I won't say it with my words, but you guys can write it in the chat. What does this sound like? Thank you. It's Roger Nelson, Calvin Jones. But the NDSU media people have only been showing highlights of Shedeur Sanders running the ball last year. And they say he is a run-first quarterback. What does that scream a little bit of? As somebody who lives in Montana up here in North, people could probably get what they're saying, but there's kind of a stereotype that they may be matching when they say that and know nothing about who Shedeur Sanders is as a quarterback. He is not Lamar Jackson. Okay.
Oh my God.
He is not those other, he's not a Donovan. He's not a Randall Cunningham. We go way back. He's not a Michael Vick. Okay, guys. The NDSU media were just showing how terrible they were, showing no highlights of him throwing the ball and how amazingly accurate he is with the ball in his hand. Oh. It's embarrassing.
Well, they're gonna see plenty of highlights of that tomorrow, and in my opinion, see what a true death by 1,000 cuts quarterback can do to you, man.
Yes.
Dissection. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. Man, thank you so much, Russ, for carrying the brunt of the preview work this week. You've done a phenomenal job with it. And like BP said, I mean, this comment cracked me up, man. This dude is on fire. Keep going. You're gonna make me go broke betting, dissecting this team that we're playing. Again, they're not the North Dakota State that we saw 8 years ago, before the transfer portal, before NIL. There will be some things that still reflect that team. I believe this will be a very disciplined team. I think that even though they're starting 3 redshirt freshmen in the interior of their offensive line, they're damn well going to know their assignments. We are going to have to play disciplined football in order to beat this team. We are going to have to stay mentally sharp. I think that this is, again, I've sounded like a broken record. I think that there are a lot of similarities with this team that we're facing compared to the Stanford team that we played last year. They're going to be disciplined. They're not going to have maybe the athletic advantage like we have, but they're going to stay locked in. They're going to be making the correct plays, the correct blocks, staying disciplined, all of that. And this is our chance to right that wrong that happened last year. This is our first matchup we're going into favored since the Stanford matchup. It is time we right that wrong, bury those ghosts, whatever the saying is, put them away for good, and we get this season off to the start that it should have.
Yeah, to listen to Shedeur's podcast with Antoine Hill, they talked about it. I mean, Shedeur still has nightmares about that Stanford game and how they didn't come away with a win. And so when that happens, they learn something. Something. They're not going to let that happen a second time. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to be fine. On top of that, I loved seeing the practice clip of George Hilo talking about the option. Did you see that, Dave? He did a breakdown. Yes, he was talking to the linebackers and he said, your job is the quarterback. Your only job every time this happens, run at the quarterback. I don't care if you don't get to have a play on the ball. And the players talked about it this week. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. You don't have to make the play. If you do your job, you are going to have teammates who will make their plays doing their job. That is how you play disciplined against an option team like NDSU is. You focus on your role. My role is to go to the quarterback. Dave, your role is the running back. That is it. That is 100% it. We do that every single play, and we will be fine. We will be fine. One person has the quarterback, and that is their job. Everybody else is going to the running back, and you will be completely fine, and you will be able to stop the option. So I think that's what we need to see. As far as our team goes, if you saw DNVR today, the stats that Shedeur Sanders has in a season opener is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
I mean, I think he had his season high stats last year against TCU, if I remember correctly.
He did.
Yeah.
But in season openers, he has an 80% completion rate.
Oh, man.
Almost 1,300 yards. No interceptions in three openers. Okay. Do you know why that is? Everybody in the chat should know. It's super easy. Shedeur is a preparer. He prepares to play games. When he has 6, 7, 8 months to prepare for a game, he comes out and kills it. That's why he knew they were going to beat TCU. Oh. He had 8 months to prepare for that TCU game. You give a quarterback like that long to prepare, I'm sorry. He is going to dice you up no matter what you throw at him. I'm sorry. That's just the case. He is going to see every little tell. He is going to see every player's tell. He's going to focus on little things like, okay, this player does this every time it's a zone play or every time it's a man play. The best players in the history of football were guys that did that. You know, you heard, if you ever hear back, and again, we're Broncos fans, you go back to that Super Bowl 50 win against Carolina, and Von Miller talked about it. DeMarcus Ware talked about it. They figured out the snap count for Carolina before that game. If you watch that, Von Miller's getting off the line before they even snap the ball. Like, the ball is barely moved. He's off the line and in before they can even snap the ball because he knows more than even the line did. Shedeur is going to do that tomorrow's game, and that is why we should have no worry that Shedeur Sanders is about to have an unbelievable game where he probably is not going to be playing in the fourth quarter. What are some of the comments we have?
Cook.
This is my week. This is my week.
Cook, man.
And also, guys, just so you know, we have to win this game. I'm never going to be able to show my face anywhere in the city that I live in because everybody has already been saying if CU loses, well, then Montana could have beat CU. Montana's a better football team than Colorado if you can't even beat NDSU, who we beat in the playoffs last year. So please, for the love of God, for my sanity, I also need this just to happen.
Yes. I'm not going to speak this into existence, but if we lose this game, man, just tune into the post game with me and Rawhide. It's going to be amazing, but hopefully that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a win. To me, man, the keys to victory are just dominating every single aspect, all three phases of the game: offense, defense, and let's talk about special teams. Good Lord, is special teams going to make me keep the Newports away this year? Good Lord. I want to see Jace Feely kick that thing through the end zone, not out of bounds. I want to see our field goal unit block correctly so Mata can get those field goal kicks off. I don't want to see any field goal kicks hitting anybody's ass. I don't want to see any punts being blocked. I want to see good coverage. If we play fantastic on special teams, that's a good omen, in my opinion, for the discipline on the rest of the team. I don't think that you see teams that are disciplined in special teams be undisciplined in the other aspects. I want to see us lead, set the tone on special teams in a way. Getting out to a lead, that is something that we need to do. I want to do it by running the ball, giving Shedeur play action. He was so efficient, had his best numbers off of play action last year. We need to give him a run game and help serve this offensive line, which is improved, but we need to serve them well, helping them get into a groove, run blocking. Everybody will benefit from play action, including the offensive line and Tyler Brown or whoever starting at right tackle. Going back to a question that somebody had in the chat a while back, how do you feel about Tyler Brown at right tackle? If he is going to be the starting right tackle, whoever it is, I feel okay about it. If right tackle is our biggest question mark, that's typical for most offensive lines, and you can work around that. You can work around that, but it starts with having a solid running game. But if we get out to a lead against NDSU, Russ, what you just said, man, what you just said about how this offense is not trained, it's not designed to come back from multiple score deficits. That's where we need to be. And we serve ourselves well and our defense well by when we have a lead. Again, going back to Stanford, how do we exercise those demons? It's by running the ball this time. It's by not playing outside of yourself. It's about doing your job, nobody stealing the shine, so that we can all enjoy this win tomorrow night.
We need to be efficient offensively. We don't need to be lethal. And by that, I think that was some of our problem with Stanford. Stanford, we were scoring left and right, quick, 29-0. We continued that into the second half, gave too many chances once they started shutting us down back to Stanford without taking off any clock time running the ball. It needs to be a good mix. It needs to be a pro-style offense, which I feel that Pat Shurmur is going to bring. We are going to see a pro-style offense where we run the ball, throw the ball, play action, all of that stuff, rather than this fulsome fast that Sean Lewis, coined last year and ran, ad nauseum.
Can we talk about the scripting? How we didn't have scripted plays last year?
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We have scripted plays, everybody. Another reason. Hey, I saw somebody say this in the chat. If I'm Coach Prime and I win the coin toss, I want the ball. I want the ball. I don't want to wait till the second half, because the key to beating NDSU is getting the lead. Getting the lead is going to change the game. We do not need to come from behind, thus needing that second half ball. We need to come out and score on the first drive of that game and put the pressure on NDSU to have to match us score for score. And then if we can stop the run and force Cameron Miller to throw the ball, we're going to be exactly where we need to be, and this game is over. Like, this game is over. The defense is going to feast. The other thing I didn't mention too, if NDSU gets in a third and longer situation where it is pass, Montana State brought a lot of blitz that were super successful. Cameron Miller was not picking up the blitz well. He was getting hit in 2 seconds. They had no way of getting it open. With our coverage, we can hold a man coverage for 2 to 3 seconds. Yes. We need to go and blitz him on those longer plays if we can get it to that. Do not let them chunk play us on run plays. Stop the run, set up the blitz, set up attacking them, and we're going to be completely fine, guys.
Well said. Well said, Russ. I want to hit this comment real quick from David. Say I'm right. You're right. How many times do you think we run the ball? My hope is like 40% of the time. But I think if we're anywhere around 30%, 30 to 35%, I'm going to be ecstatic. Again, I still feel like this offense is designed to throw the football quite a bit with the quarterback and receiver we got, but it's got to be established through a run game. And yeah, if we can have a third of our plays being run plays, I think that we're going to be in a good position. As much as I'd love to see us closer to a 50-50 ratio, maybe that does happen in the second half if we get out to a substantial lead. Maybe that does happen, but I'm not going to expect that.
Yeah, I see technically T saying I expect the game close and then to pull away. See, I don't. If this was like the third or fourth game of the season, maybe I get what you're saying, that everything isn't going to click right away. Offensively, everything's going to click right away. They've had 8 months of preparation. They have been prepping for this since last season. They are and we're scripting plays, like you said. We're going to script the first 15 plays. You don't think that they have drilled those plays down to where Shedeur can make those throws in his sleep and he knows who to throw it to? You don't think the running backs know exactly where that hole is going to be and where they're going to run through? Like the players have these first 15 plays down. And so I think that's going to be fine. Maybe it slows down towards the end of the first half, but I think we're coming out on fire. Plus, yes, Rennie, perfect comment. The communications are going to be a cheat code for Shador. I said that when that got approved last year. It is going to be a cheat code for the type of quarterback that he is.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we're going to be getting those play calls in early because I still think we are going to be going no huddle with what Adam Munster-Tiger was putting out with his conversation with Pat Shurmur. So again, it cuts off. I believe the communications cut off with 15 seconds left. So if you get that play call in, you got quite a while to get a look at that initial look from the defense. And Pat Shurmur can even be in your ear of saying, hey, if you're seeing this sort of look, you can check into this, or don't forget about this, or you're going to have Jimmy open on this. Yep. Like all of those things. Yeah.
The tablets, like they're going to go on the sideline and get to watch in real time, which, by the way, I heard a comment it was today or yesterday. So the NFL with the tablets used stills. They did not have live video. The NCAA is going to have live video. So they are going to be able to watch video on the sideline, be able to see what they're seeing. Okay, who's biting on what, who's not covering well, who's been open a lot. Oh, shoot, I should have hit. Jimmy's been open on the backside a ton. Let's drop a play and hit him, sneaking out the back end or whatever they decide to do. So we're going to see a lot of that. So again, I think that's a huge advantage that nobody's talking about. Nobody in the media nationally is talking about that. So again, another missed thing that I think is going to show just what type of team this actually is going to be. Dave, let's talk two things. We're going to talk, who do you think is going to be the player of the game? And what is the score prediction for CU versus NDSU tomorrow night at Folsom Field?
All right, let me get this up here. Let's talk about game MVP real quick.
Okay.
Game MVP. This is a tough one. I think that we're going to have quite a few touchdowns scored, but I'm going to go with the offensive side of the football. I think that we're going to see some of our biggest plays. This isn't a shocker, but I think, hey, if you're going with that sort of metric, who's making the biggest game-changing plays for us? I think it's going to be Travis Hunter, man. I really could see him having some big game-breaking plays for us that result in scores. I think he's going to be money for us on third down. Maybe that's a little bit of a safe type of play, but I just see him being our most clutch player. He was our most clutch player in crunch time last year, getting passes from Shador. His chemistry is on a whole nother level with Shador. And who knows? I guess I can include his defensive abilities in here as well. He very well could give whoever's throwing the ball from North Dakota State some trouble. But this should be a matchup. And when the lights are on, when it's on prime time, this is when he shined the most, was in our primetime games. I'm expecting Travis Hunter to play out of his mind.
I agree 100% because nobody on NDSU's roster even comes close, is even half the player that Travis is. No offense to NDSU and their players. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying that Travis is that good. He is a generational talent. He is an insane athlete. Nobody can match him. He is going to be, like you said, a cheat code in tomorrow's game. It is going to be easy to get him the ball in space and make plays. And honestly, I'm sorry. NDSU's defenders are going to have nightmares. They're going to have PTSD after this game, seeing what Travis is about to do in front of them. He is going to embarrass some of them. It's just going to happen. Again, no disrespect to NDSU. They're going to have some plays. They're going to make some good plays here and there on other people. Travis Hunter, 100%. I think he is going to come out after last year missing so much time with injury, after so much talk in the offseason about him being the best player in college football and people saying that that's not true and all those. I think he comes out and makes a statement on both sides of the ball. I would agree. I'm also going with Travis Hunter. That was my plan. I think it is going to be a Travis Hunter game. I think the other guys are going to eat in some of the other games because I think teams will key in on Travis Hunter. NDSU has nobody they can key in. They can double team him and he's still going to get open. He is going to make those two guys look like the Nebraska players that blew past him in the open field, because I'm sorry, nobody is going to keep up with Travis Hunter.
Well said. Now, score prediction. 31-16. Kind of a weird score.
31-16.
A lot of field goals from North Dakota State. So that's what I'm giving them. 31-16.
Okay. I am going on 37-17.
Okay.
I am giving that 20-point victory. Unfortunately, the guy who bet $14,000 is going to lose his money because I didn't give 21 points needed, but I think it's a 20-point victory at minimum. So I'm going 37-17.
Yeah, let's cover. And a lot of us are going to be okay. You know, that's my expectation. Yeah, give me 31-16 and winning a turnover battle. Yeah. I don't know if I can say we'll win the penalty battle, but that just goes to show how much respect I got for North Dakota State. So, a blue roller coaster, hilarious. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us. Kev 5 is calling Charlie MVP. Let's talk Nuggets. We win by freaking 32. I love it.
If Charlie is the MVP, that team better carry him off of Folsom. The fans better run on that field and carry Charlie out of that stadium to retirement, because that's it. It's over, folks. His career was made. Charlie is the hero.
We're gonna give him a Rudy movie called Charlie, and it's gonna perform way better than Rudy because Rudy sucked at football. You know, If Charlie's game MVP, he's on a whole nother level. Charlie actually earned a scholarship, unlike Rudy. Rudy was just annoying. But anyways, guys, there are a few other comments if you got a few more minutes, Russ, before we wrap up. I think that's about it that we can
I think this is roughly going to be the time that our shows are going to be, everybody. We'll be a little bit over an hour, probably, depending on, of course, what happened the previous week. Because if we blew somebody out, it's going to be an easy conversation. If it was a close game, might be longer. If we lose, it's going to be a very long show.
No doubt.
Of us crying and talking about it.
No doubt. David, if you got a dream we lost, then we're going to smoke him tomorrow. That is how I'm seeing it, LG Sensei, man. If you guys missed the beginning, I had a dream that we lost 44-0 to North Dakota State. Am I anxious about this season coming up? I guess you could say so. So, yes, you're absolutely right. Interesting. But BP Keaton Wade, I guess he's just not as good as we hope.
Either that or they're hiding him, because I literally half the time I thought he was going to transfer out at some point because we weren't hearing anything about him.
Yeah.
And he was expected to play. So who knows? But maybe he surprises us. Maybe he does. Maybe he's been a secret that they've been keeping on well-off videos.
Maybe. We'll just have to see, but if I don't hear much about him going into the season, I'm just thinking, man, might just not be who we thought or who we were hoping. Braska Rascal said, Dave, the Texas heat's got you dehydrated. You talking delusional already? Yes, you're absolutely right. Allergies, I'm sure, are going to start to upset me here soon. I'm already been bit up by mosquitoes. Guys, if you got a choice to play football in Texas or go play in Colorado, obviously you go do it in Colorado. Out here, but appreciate you tuning in as always, Braska Rascal. I'm gonna be on the Corn People or whatever. I'm forgetting their name next week on Wednesday before I get on with Russ. It's gonna be great. Now, Russ, I gotta ask you about this. Dennis, Trevor Riley knows how the Saudis have sharp bone saws. Did we get some clarification on that? Was there some correlation between that report with the Saudis and Trevor Riley resigning from the staff? Or are those some dots that just haven't been connected yet?
Coach Prime, he talked about it yesterday. He talked about it. They asked him, RG3 asked him. I think RG3 did on his podcast. What happened with that? And it seems like Coach Prime I think they parted ways because I think they were just like, you know what, Trevor, you're just not doing what we need you to do. I don't think it was directly responsible, but I think it was a parting of both ways. If they're like, you know what, Trevor, you're really not helping here. Like, that's not what we want you to do. And Trevor was like, yeah, but this is what I want to do. And so they're like, you know what, let's just move on. Let's not worry about this. Let's part ways. Who knows? I don't think he got directly fired though.
I got you. Well, I might be in the minority about this, but if the Saudis are going to help the Buffs win a national championship, sign me up. There are no morals in college football. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. That's why I don't care about this Oregon report. If they looked at our film, I don't think they would have had the need to, but
No.
From last year or anything like that. But hey, Connor Stallions, I stand with Connor Stallions. If you're, biggest expectation coming into this season, we're going to play this year like we are a team on steroids, baby. We're going to play so much tougher. We're going to play so much more dominant. That is my expectation. Going to be so much more physical. And, if you're not looking for the ways to be the best program you can be, I don't want you here.
Well said. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, man. Okay, well, I guess. Oh, Russ, I wanted to leave with this one. Marcus Payne. And I want to give you a shout out, Russ, because you deserve so many more subscribers than what you currently have. You do a phenomenal job. It is quality over quantity of content for the Buffs News Weekly channel. Please subscribe, guys, if you're on my feed. It's in the description. You can go find Russ's channel over there and subscribe to it. But Russ, for all the people in the chat, where can we find you on social?
Yeah, Twitter, Buffs News Weekly, super easy. YouTube, Buffs News Weekly as well. We are 7 subscribers away from 1,900, almost 100 away from 2,000. My hope is to have 2,000 by the end of next week. I think we can do it. So if you're out there, you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you go over there, do that. I do a Saturday news wrap-up video, highly produced, highly scripted. So it's just kind of a way to get everything all at once, rather than, some of the other people out here, not you, Dave, the ones that like just literally put their voice over like a picture or like a well-off video and like, this is the news and this is what we're hearing. And I also try not to speculate on rumors. I'm literally trying to do a journalistic fact show where I just present you with everything that's happened that week and
what the media should be doing.
Exactly how people should be covering the team outside of, the normal people. So check that out. It's on Saturdays. It will be switching to Sundays after this week because of me wanting to cover the previous game. So make sure you guys pay attention to that. But I appreciate all the new subs, everybody coming over, checking me out. And again, follow me on Twitter too. I get to do all the up-to-date. I'm on Twitter a ton. So you guys get kind of the live breaking news through that way. So make sure you're following over on the Twitter.
Yes. And shout out to Cacao and Calvin Jones pointing out
that would make sense.
His ankle.
That would make sense then why we haven't heard him or seen him. That makes 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And prayers up, shout outs up to Cordell Russell. I feel really bad that his season is over technically.
Was it an ACL?
No. I think it's his. I've heard rumors. We're doing rumors here. I won't do it on the news, but collarbone, I think is what we heard a couple different places. And so he's having surgery, which surgery on the collarbone.
It's like 2-3 months.
Yeah. I could see them just redshirting him medically and just saying, hey, let's go next year. Sucks because I was really looking forward to him. I'm still purchasing his jersey because, hey, we share the same name. So why don't I get a jersey with my name on the back? Absolutely. So I'll be supporting him that way. So big ups to those guys. I'm glad, knock on wood, we've stayed somewhat healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
We have stayed somewhat healthy when we've seen all these teams around the country losing players left and right. So everybody, we're less than 24 hours away from the season opener. It's finally here. Football's back, baby.
Yes. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I think, man, Rennie, we'll definitely have to have some more collaborations as the season goes on. Again, you can catch me tomorrow and Rawhide collaborating in our post-game reaction. That is going to be hilarious. Got some fun stuff to share with you guys on there. And yes, please go subscribe to Russ. Help him out. And you're past 1,000 now, right?
Oh, no, yeah, almost 2,000.
Okay, let's go.
I know. I want to get 2,000 this week. We're 100 away. 100 subscribers from 2,000. We got it.
Man, guys, we got 300 people in the chat right now. Again, it means so much that you would spend part of your evening with us. Y'all 300, go subscribe to Russ right now. Let's go ahead and do it. Russ, any last words before I sign us out?
All I can say, everybody, is get ready. Get your popcorn ready. Things are about to be big. We're about to win big. And the world is going to be on watch. The CU Buffs are back, baby. We are back.
That's right. I got the music going. I'll find some better music this next time. Oh, actually, I got my old David Talks Buffs. We'll get this all figured out. Yes. Time. Let me know your score predictions in the bottom. But, man, we're not just going to let a bunch of 5'9" white guys beat us tomorrow night. We're not going to allow that to happen. No. We're going to play like we're on steroids. We're going to dominate this team. We're going to score a whole bunch. We're going to be disciplined. We're not going to be smoking cigarettes because the special team is so bad. We sent that coach all the way off the continent, and essentially, we don't need the Saudis. We got everything we need right now for this game right here. All right, y'all? Now go subscribe to Russ in the channel, Buffs News Weekly, in the description of my channel, of this video, right now, 53 to 10. Let's go. Absolutely, yes. If you don't stuff with Russ, you're going to regret it.
And make sure, hey, like this one, too. Get Dave those likes.
Yes. Help me out with the likes. So, guys, we will be back again next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Buffs Blitz. And we will see you next week after a Buffs victory. Give me a Sko Buffs, Russ. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs!
All right.